Okay, so let's do a game of Something, Nothing, or Everything preseason edition. I'm going to cite a stat, and then you tell me if it's something, nothing, or everything.
Okay.
That's how it works.
All right.
A lot of the description is in the title of like the rules of how to play it, but I just want to make sure that you were clear. Okay.
I think we're clear.
So first, Josh Richardson made 62.5% of his shots in the preseason and 73% of his three-pointers. Something, nothing, or everything.
It's definitely, I would say it's everything. Obviously.
Wow, that's...
Well, obviously,
Okay.
he's not going to average 62% from the field and 73% from three. But it just more shows that his percentages will be higher this year. I think most people kind of anticipate his 3-point percentages. He's going to have a career year there with that just because of the Mavs offense and playing with Luka. And the fact that in preseason it's already shown an impact, although it's a small portion, it's already showing that playing in this system with Luka is going to impact his shooting.
So I think that explanation, I think it's something. It's not everything. Like, to me, everything would mean that he's going to do that for the rest of the season. I think it's something.
So something then.
Yeah,
yes.
but we'll see.
I think you're overthinking it.
Yeah, okay. So moral of the story is I'm right because it's
I'm
something.
wrong.
Yeah, okay. Next, Dorian Finney-Smith made 50% of his three-pointers on 4 attempts per game. So substantial, whatever you call it, data sample size.
Again, something. His 3-point percentage has gone up every year, and to his credit, he works really hard at trying to be a really good 3-point shooter. So it will go up again if he continues to work hard. Eventually, he's going to become kind of a sniper from 3, and he's going to get a little bit more attention. And if that's the case, then you might have a year or two where it kind of dips a little bit because teams are going to be closing in on him a lot quicker.
So I think it's also something, obviously he's not going to shoot 50%, but like you said, it's gone up every year. So his first season, he shot 29% and then almost 30%, then 31%, and then last year over 37%. So he might be 37, 38, 39% this year.
Yeah.
Also notable, his 2-point percentage has gone up every year too. So even though he has improved every single year, I know, the improvement from 4 points to 9.5 points, it's all relative, but his 3-point shooting has improved. I expect it to at least stay the same, if not improve again.
Yeah,
this
and
year.
it shows just more why Carlisle likes him so much because he does work really hard.
Yeah.
And
it pays off. He does actually get better.
In all honesty, he's a very limited offensive player. I don't think that's why they even drafted him. And he has worked on his offensive game in order to be relevant on the court when he's out there.
To keep his job.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, next. The Mavericks struggled against the size and length of the Bucks and the Timberwolves. Something, nothing, or everything.
I think that is something because their 2 guards coming off the bench are a little small with Jalen Brunson and Trey Burke. They're both really good players, but they're just a little small. So when you play with teams with a little bit more length, they're going to struggle. That really kind of makes Luka your only playmaker again, which is what you're trying to avoid. You want some balance offensively. But if nobody else can score, then it just falls on Luka's shoulders. And the whole point of getting a secondary playmaker is so that way when it matters most and they don't have to rely just on Luka.
Yeah.
I think they also have a problem with their bigs. And we'll talk a little bit later about...
The Mavs have a problem with their own bigs?
Their own bigs,
okay.
Yeah. And I know Porzingis has been out. That'll obviously help with their length. It'll also help spread the floor. So that way the other opposing team's length won't be as dominant as it was. But they have some holes on their roster.
Yeah, I think it's everything because I think it's going to be a storyline throughout the year. And it was kind of a storyline last year. They struggled against really physical defensive teams. Now, if I'm being honest, most teams struggle against long, athletic, teams that have a lot of length. Most teams struggle against those teams. That's why you want to build a team like that because it makes it hard for the opponent. So even though I do think it's everything, is this the end of the road for them? No, I mean, I just think they're going to struggle against it because of what you said.
Yeah. Well, the Mavericks didn't really solve their physicality problem this offseason. They still lack strength and really size. Like, not height. They got a lot of height. They don't have a lot of girth, big guys.
Girth. Yeah. And another reason why I think it's going to be a big deal is because if you look at a lot of the top teams now, they have big guys. Next, the Mavericks were 4th in offensive rating, but 21st in defensive rating. Something, nothing, or everything.
Man, that's a tough one because they struggled so much on defense last year.
Yeah. And I know they wanted to improve it.
But it's preseason. So it's like, how much do you want to overreact? I would say it may be something because there's some determining factors, like Porzingis has been out, and so we've been forced to start Capowell. And
I forgot we called him that. Capowell.
And so he is not a very good defender. He's not a very good rim protector. He's not a very good rebounder. So that may have impacted it. Luka clearly had no interest on getting back on defense.
Yeah.
And I just don't think really anybody cared. I even watched Josh Richardson defensively, and I was not impressed. Like, I was like, guys are blowing right past him. Of course, the highlights I've seen, he didn't allow that to happen.
Yeah.
But I think maybe they just didn't take it as seriously as Carlisle was hoping. I don't know, but I think it might be something.
I think it's something because if anything in preseason, you would expect also the other team to struggle offensively, in which case that would help your defensive rating.
Yeah, well, maybe, another part of it is, again, we're piling on to that starting lineup issue. Is the starting lineup issue.
Yeah. So I think that it is something, especially if they're going to start Dwight Powell. I know that Kristaps is out. I know it's preseason and all that. I'm not saying that they're not going to make any improvements defensively. I'm saying that it is something they might not be where they wanted to be or where they need to be in order to contend.
You still want to just take, well, they're not contending.
Yeah. And I don't expect them to be a contender.
We hope that they just take a step forward.
Yeah. Okay. Last 3 are about Luka. He shot 73% on free throws.
That's nothing. Look, I just think he's just going to be that kind of guy at the free throw line.
Not a good free throw shooter?
An average free throw shooter in the 70s for his career. And he may even have seasons where it's lower. That's just the way he is. For free throws, you got to be focused.
Yeah.
And Luka, unfortunately, is just not always focused. He's not always engaged.
Yeah.
And I think that impacts his shooting. And even if that's not an accurate assessment of why he's not making them, I think it's just going to be something Mavs fans are going to have to live with. LeBron was never a great free throw shooter. It's hard to go from Dirk, where you knew is automatic, and set the record in the playoffs for free throw percentage, to a guy that 75% is terrible, when really that's an average free throw shooter.
Yeah, LeBron, he's kind of fluctuated, but his career average is 73%.
Yeah.
And yeah, Dirk was automatic. That was one thing that made him so great. And not that free throws aren't important. I would love for Luka to get his percentage higher, but a lot of great players are not as good of free throw shooters as Dirk is.
Yeah.
And I hope that Luka improves it, but it could just be one of those things that he's just never a great free throw shooter.
Yeah.
Okay, next, Luka made only 31% of his three-pointers, something, nothing, or everything.
Again, I think it's nothing because
you think he's bored?
I think this is I think this is who he is as a player. I love Luka. I think he's going to be the best player in the league, but he is not a shooter. I know people give him the credit for being a dead-eye three-point shooter and all those kind of things. Maybe it's because he's from Europe and they've never had a European come in and not be a dead-eye shooter. But he's not a shooter. He's a playmaker. He's a scorer. He's a bucket getter. Scorer. He's a bucket getter. He's just not a shooter. So I think his three-point percentages are also going to be average to below average. Now, realistically, you'd like for them to be around 35%. And as he gets older, maybe that's the case. But
yeah, I mean, again, so I'm going to compare him to LeBron because he's also never been a great jump shooter, period, but specifically three-pointers. I mean, early in his career, he was 29, 33, 32, 31. And that was always a knock on him, is that he wasn't a good 3-point shooter. But ever since 2011, which I cite 2011 all the time as like the year that changed LeBron, and it sounds self-serving because it's the Mavericks who beat him, but I really do think that was a major turning point for him. He shot 33% that season. The very next season, he shot 36%, and then 41%, and then 38%.
But you're talking about a guy now that's 31, 32,
he was,
33
well, and
years
by
old.
that time he was 27.
So
I think he realized that he couldn't just say like, I don't need to shoot three. He realized like, I need to be able to shoot them. Now he's not Klay Thompson, but he can make them now.
Yeah.
And I think Luka.
That's the good thing about Luka though, is he has that reputation already.
True.
So no one's going to leave him open.
No one even cares.
Yeah. Because he's
made the
European.
big ones.
Yeah, and he's made the big ones. So, but as far as his percentages, he's never going to be a 40% 3-point shooter, in my opinion. But 35% would be great.
It's one of those things, like, again, I hope that he does work on it. It's so crucial. And LeBron didn't really become this LeBron until he was also a good 3-point shooter.
But you're talking about LeBron at that point, I think, had already won 4 MVPs or something. Or,
True.
I mean,
Luka is 21.
Yeah.
Like I said, LeBron was 27 at that point. Like, I don't know if this is the year where we see that jump from Luka in that stat.
Yep.
Okay, last one. Luka got a technical foul in a preseason game.
2 of them.
Oh, 2. Yeah.
He had 2.
I forgot about the other one. Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about this other than, and this is going to sound ridiculous, but I think we're just going to have to live with this.
Again.
Yes. This is not Dirk Nowitzki. It's just, he's not Dirk.
Yeah.
He is a typical franchise NBA player.
Hot shot guy.
I mean, the guy is, in his mind, he's royalty. From the age of 13, he's living in another state at a basketball camp,
playing in
and
a
they're all
professional
massaging
league.
him.
They recruited him. He's got ladies around him with palm branches.
Yes, exactly. I watched one video of him. I think he was like 14 years old. There were 7 coaches or something around him, and they were doing a drill.
Yeah.
So in his mind, he was raised into royalty. So his brain is not the same as our brain. It's just not. And I know it's funny, but it's like we're peasants and he's a king. And so his
We're
arguing...
like ropes hanging off the Goodyear blimp.
Exactly. But I think this is just who he is. He's going to complain. What you don't want to see is the complaining causing a fast break bucket for the other team when it matters most.
Yeah.
And at least in the playoffs, it appeared it did not impact him. He was laser focused. Mm-hmm. He didn't allow anything to get in that way. That's what's important. But if it's, game 7 and he's complaining and not getting back on defense, that's a real problem.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's part of his personality, and I don't like it. I hate the complaining.
It's not even his fault.
I hate it. But at the same time, I don't think he's going to stop. And so it's kind of like the Dwight Powell thing. I was talking the other day. I was like, maybe I'm just going to have to accept it and just stop thinking about it.
Carlisle loves Powell.
So it's kind of the same thing with this. Like, I hate it, but I don't think it's going to stop. We talked in our last episode how we thought, like, man, Luka turned a corner. He realized, like, it don't matter if they call a foul or not. I can dominate. Apparently, he did not have that realization, and he's just still going to complain, and it is what it is. I mean, he's still an MVP candidate, so I can't I feel like I can't complain because, I still want him. He still wins games.
He's still my favorite player.
So, yeah. Okay, so that's something nothing. What did we say about that one? It's nothing.
I didn't know how I felt. It's something, but at the same time, you're just gonna have to get over it.
It's everything because I think it's gonna continue, but also, I can't care about it.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's something, nothing, or everything. Let us know what you guys guessed or what you think for each one in the comments or on Twitter.